SP wishes 3P was you. I am Neil Larthos. I am the next Abdullah, and we're going to make you the next Neville Goddard. Now look, perhaps you clicked on this video because your SP has another person. Maybe it's your ex, maybe it's your crush, and you realize that you're not the person that they're with right now. Well, look, I'm going to remind you, like I say in all my videos, you are God. You are source. Whatever you see in the 3D is not real. It is just a late, delayed reflection of your past assumptions. So if you see that your SP is with somebody else, it's not because it's happening in the present moment. It is because whether it was a thought process, negative thinking, or even a fear that you had that you were not good enough, or that what if they cheat on me, or what if they leave me for somebody else? It is a reflection of your reality. We see this all the time with our exes. We see this all the time in relationships where our biggest fear, them leaving us for somebody else, the fact that they are online on WhatsApp, but they're not responding. Are they cheating on me? Are they cheating on me? And guess what? They end up cheating on you. It is your fault. But the same way that it is your fault that they cheated on you, and before this becomes a controversy, I'll explain. Before you want to click off and start saying, "Oh, fuck this guy, how dare he say that it's my fault?" Well, let me tell you one thing. When you understand the way reality works, you'll not only blame yourself, but you'll be able to forgive yourself. But the same way that it was your fault to manifest them going with another person is the same way that, like the title of this video says, you can get to the point where you are the 3P. Hell, you are the SP. You have to stop putting yourself on the pedestal. You have to stop putting them on the pedestal and start putting you on the pedestal. You see, I'm willing to bet that one of the reasons why they chose him or her over you is because not only did they not choose you, but you didn't choose yourself either. How can someone love you if you don't even love yourself? But let's get back in chronological order here. So, look, when you understand how reality works, it's simple. You are God. What does that mean? No, that does not mean that you have crazy superpowers and that you were the one who said, "Let there be light." No. But what it means is that what you perceive as reality, you are the God of that reality. Haven't you ever noticed that whenever shit hits the fan and when you're having a bad day, it doesn't matter if someone walks up to you and gives you the nicest compliment ever, you are just going to see nothing but darkness. If they were the God of your reality, then you'd be able to hear what they say and be able to change your reality based on what they say. Now, let's say someone does do something to you and that changes your mood from bad to good. It's still coming from you because it changed your mood. It's not their mood, it's yours. Does that make sense? Everything is a reflection of what you are feeling inside, whether it's that someone complimented you on the sidewalk and all of a sudden, okay, that changed your mood. Okay, so your mood is better. Now you're going to see the reflection of, oh, okay, so I'm that guy. I'm that man, right? I'm him. I'm that motherfucker. So if you feel like the motherfucker, then you're going to be walking like the motherfucker. But if you are not getting the compliments, if you're not getting the validation, if SP is not texting you, but they are with somebody else, then If you are aware of that and it's something negative to you, you are only going to keep recycling negative shit in your 3D circumstances. But this is why we say to change your perception, because shit can be hitting the fan. They could be cheating on you with your fucking mom. But if you tell yourself, no, I'm the fucking prize, every single time they see me, they cum their pants. There's a whole fucking pond of their fluids dripping from their pants at each step they fucking take. It's like following the yellow brick road, but except it's all creamy. If you say crazy shit like that, just like the crazy shit that you say, like I'm worthless, I'm a loser, I will never find love, everybody cheats on me. If you reverse that into your favor, that is where you're going to see a true shift. I remember when I was going through a drought where I wasn't getting laid and not getting the SPs and whatever you want to call it, because I'm a single guy. I'm more of just a person who wants to enjoy myself rather than a specific person. But I remember a time where, though I knew the law, I wasn't experiencing success in my dating life. Now, a lot of it could have been because I was working a lot, but some of my old habits came in of being aware of lack. And because I was aware of lack, I kept getting that reflected to me. No matter how much red pill tactics I used, no matter how much game I tried to have in my cold approaches, it seemed like, kind of like when you're watching, you know, Steph Curry, and he typically makes the threes, but some reason he's just fucking bricking and bricking and bricking. He can't make a shot to save his life. Well, that was me, right? Well, I went back to saying stuff like, all the SPs in the world are my flowers in my garden, and I'm the fucking sun. Everybody here is a satellite in my solar system, and I'm motherfucking gravity. Within days, I started getting all these compliments from customers at work, because I work in the restaurant business as a side job. I had the fucking balls to cold approach this hot woman that I saw after getting a haircut, and now we're talking, and she was one of the hottest women that I have spoken to before the drought began. And all these fucking things started happening out of all my experiences and experimentations with the law, being pedestalized, and putting myself, telling myself the most narcissistic, craziest, rambunctious things possible that were in my favor and were about my self-concept, boosting my ego, was when I noticed a big shift. The best time to use it is when your SP has the third person. That is why I said in this title that SP wishes 3P was you. Because first of all, I'm gonna flip it another way. Technically, you don't want to say that because you want to live in the end. And if they're saying that SP wishes 3P was you, then that means that they still have the third person, right? But look, I'm going to let you in on a little secret, okay? First of all, just because somebody is in a relationship with another person does not mean that they are actually in love, okay? I've had exes where they've gotten married, and you know, I don't want to go into details, but we did things together that made it quite obvious, like that marriage, that fucking ring didn't mean shit. Okay, I've had exes who went to other 3Ps and they said that they, just like the title says it, they wish that they were me. You know, so many women cheat on their spouses, on their partners, and vice versa. Okay, we know this. Okay, if that wasn't true, a lot of these guys would not be asking to check their woman's phone, or these women would not want to know where their husband went, because they know it's possible. So why are we sitting here acting like if they have a 3P, it's the end of the fucking world? Stop bullshitting yourself. They could be in another fucking planet, but if you say that you are the motherfucker and that everyone revolves around you, and that they have a fucking life-size poster on their wall that they pray and bow down to every single night, you are going to get that reflected. I've seen it in my own experience. Now, gosh darn it, no, did they actually get a life-size poster of me? No, but when my subconscious heard that, they're like, oh, yeah, obviously they don't have a poster, but we know what he's talking about. Really, Neil? So that's really what's going on? So, okay. Just like the way that you kept saying that nobody loves you and you're the ugliest sack of shit on the planet, which obviously you're not. But when I would hear that, I would just reflect lack of success in your dating life. But when I hear that they have a life-size poster on their wall that they pray and bow down to, I might not be able to actually reflect that to you, Neil, but they're gonna say yes. You're gonna have an infinity funky gauntlet of SPs, and every single cold approach is gonna go your way. You see, your subconscious knows what you're doing. Because I'm going to let you know a little secret. The subconscious that we know about from psychology and science is not actually scientific. It is spiritual. It's your God nature. It's your God source. Maybe when the Bible talks about the Holy Spirit, that's what it is. You see, the Holy Spirit in the Bible, we notice that it's one of the more silent of the trio, right? You know, the Son came down in human form. The Father created the heavens and the earth through the Son. And, you know, the Spirit softly and quietly hovered above the waters. It even says, there's a scripture in the Bible where it says that he promotes the Son, meaning the imagination, right? Maybe that's what the subconscious is the Holy Spirit, or vice versa. Maybe the Holy Spirit is the subconscious. But you see, metaphysically, spiritually, whichever way you look at it, guys, you are the God of your reality. Remember, you are not the mind, you are not the body. So if we perceive that your SP is posting stories and statuses of all these nice dinner dates that they are with the third person, that's something that we perceive with our eyes, but we are not the eyes. We are just the observer of what we see through the eyes. So when you realize that all your perception was just something apart from you, and then you realize that the 4D, which is in your imagination, which is not what we see with the eyes, but which is what we see within, is also a part of you, you realize that you can switch sides. Whenever we are not aware that we are not the mind or body, we simply select the character of autopilot, aka the guy who goes to 9 to 5, who's a LA Dodgers fan, and who thinks that if SP is posting statuses with the 3P, then that's it. We're screwed. But when you realize that you are actually the 4D, and that what you see with your eyes is just a recycling bin of what you have been putting in your imagination, then not only can you start imagining in your favor, and eventually within days, weeks, months, possibly even years, but the better you get at it, the quicker it will happen. When you realize that you don't have to choose a 3D, you can choose the 4D, and you realize that you shouldn't judge what you see with your eyes because you are not the mind or the body, then you realize something. Okay, well, if I'm not the mind or the body, and the 3D, which is where I'm seeing SP with the 3P, is not me, then that means that it's not real. And if the 4D is real, and I can make what I want to see in the 3D happen in the 4D, but I can see it right now in the 4D, then you can have SP break up with the third person right now. And the best visualization technique is when you don't make it so fucking crazy complicated, where you don't say you have to get all these fucking candles in a pentagram and do yoga stances and kumbaya shit. Okay? You guys, the same video format that we have of memories is the same video fucking format that we use for our imagination. All these times when we were on our way to work and we imagined that because we were 30 minutes late, our boss was going to yell at us. And sure enough, no matter how many times we try to calm ourselves down, because we saw it in our imagination, though it wasn't an 8K 1080p IMAX 3D Blu-ray, we just saw a little brief blurry image. They probably fucking didn't even look half the similarity of our boss, yet we could hear a little fuzziness of their voice, and boom, we got that manifested to us. When you think of the most vivid memory you can remember, it's still not that fucking vivid, okay? And it's the same way with your visualizations, okay? Now, whether you want to accept the fact that you can use the same fuzziness of a memory for visuals in your imagination, or if you just want to tell yourself it already happened, it's done, which is the same thing as accepting that it's complete, it's fulfilled, I'm living in the end. You can just tell yourself, to make it easier, that your SP broke up with the third person a long time ago, that you guys are madly in love, she cannot stop blowing up your phone, and it's almost to the point where you need a little bit of space, because you're like, oh shit, this was not as amazing as I thought it was, because now I have to plan all these dates and blah 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 blah. Because if we're being real here, if you want to really live in the end and embody the state, you got to be honest with yourself. Nothing is really that good to be true. Nothing is truly that amazing. Even when people have won championships, won $1 million, they will always say the same thing, like, you know, okay, but what now? What's next? So you see, that's another thing too. Right. And I look, I can go in circles with all this stuff. I try my best to fit everything in these videos, but I'm also going off the dome here and really trying to give you all the knowledge that I have on the law based off of my experiences and based on what I see that people struggle with the most. But this is all coming from the heart. And what the I am awareness is telling me is that, look, the more complicated you make the law, manifestation, the more you're going to face complications in manifesting what you want. Okay? Now, when it comes to techniques, whether you are using the techniques from this guy or that guy, or whether you are more on the side of law of attraction or law of assumption or Neville Goddard or Joseph Smith, whatever avenue you take, at the end of the day, it boils down to, when it comes to techniques, affirmations and visualizations, okay? And like I said, visualizations do not need to be vivid, okay? When Neville Goddard said feeling is the secret, he wasn't necessarily saying that you had to fucking feel the boogers coming out of your SP's nose and smell the farts out of your SP's ass. What he was saying is that the same way when you're waiting on the test results, or when a woman is looking at the pregnancy test and she sees that it's positive, she doesn't go, oh, this means that I'm black. Or when she sees a positive pregnancy test, she doesn't see that and say, oh wow, they just evicted my apartment. Everybody knows what a positive pregnancy test looks like. Well, when Neville Goddard says feeling is a secret, he means that whatever technique you use, whether it's affirmation, sats, etc., you want to get to the point where no matter how simple or complex the technique is, you want to get it to the point where after you do it, you get that check mark, that click, that conviction of it's done. Yeah, in my visual, she looked like my mother, but I know the way the 4D works, and I know that whatever I put in my I am awareness, that is who I will become. You see, the whole reason why you are getting the reflection of SPs not wanting you and you feeling ugly is because you think that you're that character. You could even look in the mirror and tell yourself that this is actually not who I am. If you are an infinite being living in a human experience, whatever you see with your eyes, whether it's your reflection in the mirror or whether it's circumstances that you don't want, is technically not you. However, When you shift from focusing on the 3D, I'm not saying that when you're driving down the road that you don't have to worry about incoming traffic and you can just run over people. I'm not saying that, but that should be fucking common sense, because we do have fight or flight either way. So technically you don't have to worry too much about that. But what I'm saying is, when you stop focusing on the 3D, when you realize that the more you focus on it, you're just going to keep repeating it, because whatever you put in your awareness, that's what you will get reflected back to you. When you focus on the 4D, then you will realize, oh, okay, if I'm whatever I put my awareness on, then if I want to be the guy who has SP, all I got to do is imagine myself as the guy who has SP. And the easiest way to do that is to tell yourself, what would the version of me who has SP, who looks the same, who has the same mustache, who has the same body type, who's still making the same low amount of money, but the only difference is that I have SP and they're not with the third person and they're choosing me. What would my life look like? And the key is to tell yourself, what would I look like where the only difference is I have SP and the version of SP that I want? Because you don't want to get into this thing where you have these limited beliefs that you've carried since childhood, that you still have to earn something. You still have to do something to earn SP. Why would you want to be with somebody who doesn't accept you for who you are either ways? If you are going to say, well, I have to go to the gym more, I have to get this amount of money, don't do it for them. Do it for you. That's why it's so important to understand the difference between inspired action and required action. Because when you think that there's something required in order to achieve something, then you are not acting like God. Did God say, well, before I say let there be light, I got to pay the electricity bill? No. He just said, I think this place needs light. And who gives a fuck? It came. That's the way you have to be. It's like, I want SP, and sure, I understand that there's a possibility that I might gain more muscle, I might desire more money, but it doesn't come from a place of that is what I need to do in order to gain this person. Because you are saying that they cannot accept you, but if you're God apart from what you see in the 3D, which is where money and your body weight exists, then you are saying that you are that person who has that body weight and has that low amount of money, and not the other way around, the observer of that person. You are God. Okay? You get whatever the fuck you want. So whenever you do affirmations, I want it to be where every time that you notice on their story, and a lot of guys will say, well, you shouldn't read their stories and you shouldn't read your statuses. I'm not going to be one of those coaches and say, like, if you do it, you fuck up your manifestation and it's ruined. No, I'm not going to go that far. If you believe that you fuck up your manifestations when you check the stories, when you look at the 3D, then you do, because that's something you believe. But if you believe that you can handle it, regardless of what you do in the 3D, what matters is how you perceive it. I personally would recommend you to stay off checking the 3D, which examples of that would be checking their stories where they're constantly posting romantic pictures with their third person. But where this can work in your favor is when you know how to use that as leverage. Because one thing that I've noticed in my experience with the law is that when I see things going against my favor, because we are so used to perceiving those things as negative circumstances, I got to the point where I could see my SP with the third person and flip it to the opposite of, I'm looking at the story, and though she has a selfie with her third person and they're making out, I'm like, oh my gosh, we look so fucking beautiful together. This is like the 20th picture she took. I thought I told her to stop. This is kind of annoying. Instead of noticing that there were 3P, say that she posted another selfie of you and her, or you and him. Be delusional. Remember what I said, be Delulu to manifest Lulu. Delulu is the fucking Salulu, okay? Being delusional when you're checking the 3D, if you're going to check the 3D, be fucking delusional. But other than that, if you check the 3D and you see that it's not in your favor, don't admit it to yourself. Because again, this is the reason why it can fuck up your manifestation for the majority of people, because the majority of you don't know how to handle those power punches. It's like in a boxing ring. Some people can handle power punches from Triple G, from Mike Tyson, but most people can't. So that's why it's better for you to go in there with your defense, right? But if you're going to go in with offense and go right in the fire, you better have some fire to fight back with. And being delusional is that fire. And other than that, visuals, like I said, guys, I mean, I had a visual technique where I said that you can imagine a scene, whether it's you and your SP on a honeymoon or you guys are being intimate. And every single day, you can add a new detail to the scene. And you can do that for 30 days. And by the 30th day, you have a whole fucking scene where each day you picked a new detail. And it's like you had a painting that you were drawing in your imagination for 30 days, and it is now complete, like a construction site where we see every single day on our way to work that it's getting closer and closer to the building that they're trying to construct. And after the 30 days, you're like, oh wow, it's coming together. Well, you can do it like that, a detail every day. But again, I've noticed that the more complicated I make visualizations, the more I just start overthinking and spiraling. The only time I really say you should really focus on purifying your visualizations and practicing them is when it's to the point where you feel like time is taking too long in the 3D, which, by the way, if you're aware of that, you are actually admitting that you don't have it. That's another thing. But when you want to feel it right now, which you can, that is when I would suggest you to use the detail every single day technique. Or instead of doing it every day, if you really are longing for your SP, you can, you see, there's another SP that just texted me right now. I'm getting blown up here, fellas. Getting distracted. They need to stop. I'm making a banger here. Whenever you miss them or you long for them, you can give your SP, you can give yourself your SP right now. If you, a lot of times when I want an SP, I don't know what it is, but I just want to kiss them, okay? I want to be intimate with them. And I don't know what it is about a woman's arms, but whenever I'm with a woman that I love, I like kissing their hands. I like kissing their arms. I like advancing all the way to the neck. And sometimes that's all I will think about when I'm manifesting an SP, is the feeling of their skin. I mean, I've been with so many women that I've memorized the sensory acuity of what it feels like to be kissing a woman's neck. And I'll tell you this, it doesn't feel like I'm kissing a brick wall. It doesn't feel like I'm kissing, you know, a fucking porcupine. It's soft. It's smooth. You can smell their natural body scent along with their fucking perfume that sometimes if they sprayed too much, like one of my SPs, Jesus Christ, I can smell it from a mile away, but I love it, right? Get to that point where if you really truly desire them, work on a detail every single day, or if you have an off day, do a detail every hour. Okay, now I'm focusing on the neck. Well, how would it feel like if I'm looking them straight in the eyes right before we're about to kiss? And you see, all this is supposed to be fun. You don't have to judge yourself and say, oh, fuck, man, why are their eyes black? And why do they look like if they're the fucking devil? But, you know, in real life, they have pretty blue eyes. Don't worry. Don't judge yourself. Okay? The point is, at the end of the day, fellas, is that you have to realize that when you say it's done, it's fucking done. Now, I'm not going to be one of those manifestation coaches who's going to tell you that if you do it, if you visualize so fucking strongly, you're going to get it in 24 hours. No, because I'm one of those who believes, based off of my experience, that there are some manifestations, because you have so much limited beliefs, and you had so much years going against you where you were thinking negatively about yourself, that you still have to wait for some of those things to manifest, unfortunately, because they will go in order, right? Usually. Now, yes, sometimes you can manifest quickly based off of limited beliefs and you know, detachment, but don't concern yourself so much about the time, because remember, there's no such thing as time to begin with. All that exists is now. And if you give yourself SP in your imagination right now, you already have it. Because another thing too is, let's say you do get SP in the 3D and you guys kiss, you will have to eventually go home, or if you guys are together, you will have to go to sleep, and you won't be with them in your sleep. You won't be able to sense them all the time. But does that mean that you guys are not together? No. So the time that you are asleep and you're not kissing them, you're not intimate with them, or maybe when they're at work and you can't feel their touch, does that mean that you're not there with them? Your body doesn't feel them, and your body is feeling the same sensations that you're feeling right now when you're not with them intimately in the 3D. So you see, your body doesn't really know the difference. So if you give it to yourself in the 4D, technically you already, not even technically, in reality, you already have them. When you can get to the point where you understand this shit, by the time you actually hone in on it, you will be so in love with the law and with yourself, and realizing that you are the fucking SP. That you are the true specific person, and you'll be manifesting yourself. When you manifest yourself, they will start to choose you. And that's when you will receive the text message. That's when you will realize, oh shit, who's that knocking on my door? And voila, you already forgot that you were manifesting SP in the first place. I am Neil Lartos. This is all that the I'm Awareness had to say. And I know that you're going to be okay.